Hello, this is Sarah, Painter Creator here. Hope you're having a lovely day. So I'm just continuing really with some small pieces. My energy levels are low, and so I find painting small is the easiest way through for me, because when I start a piece, I want to finish a piece over the day, and I struggle to leave them overnight. I found this to my detriment, so painting small allows me still to be creative and explorative and playful and all the good stuff that's good for me, and yet it allows me also to finish. So as usual, I'm using my Creative Peak watercolour paper. I would highly recommend this paper. It's good quality for the price. I think it's roughly £16 for 64 sheets of A4 at the minute on Amazon. I've not found anywhere else to get it. And then each sheet of A4 I cut up into 4, just so that it's a nice little space for me to work with. Sometimes I'll cut that in half again and do a tiny one, but this is the size that I'm working with at the moment, and I'm using my Cotman watercolour paints. Again, really good quality for the price. As always, you can buy really expensive things, but I want to paint every day. It's really good for me, so I need reasonably priced paper and reasonably priced paint. I do have some expensive paper, I do have some expensive paint, and I do paint on those sometimes, but when my energies are like they are, it's much easier just to paint like this. So let's get going. I've spritzed my paints with my little repurposed Fabrice spray bottle. If you haven't got a little spray bottle, just drop some water into your paints and let them sit there. You'll need some paper towel, 2 good jars of water, because that's really important. One for washing your brushes and one to have some clean water. And I'm going to just work nearly flat today. I've got a little 3/4 of an inch brush. I'm just going to wet some of that page across. So I've got some wet spots and some dry spots. So I'm going to go in with one of my favourite colours, Indigo. And as you can see, I've got lots of water on my page. So I'm picking some indigo up from my palette. I'm going to run my flat brush across the bottom of here, just to encourage that to go down. And the same here. And then I'm going to tilt my painting and play with the direction. If I get a blob and I just want it to go, I can just play with it with my brush. But I'm trying to let the water do its thing. And I'm just going to get my little mister bottle. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a spritz just to get some movement, quite like that. So then I'm going in with, again, with indigo into here, but I'm also going to drop in some raw umber. So it's just indigo and raw umber. I love this combination of colours. Yeah, indigo and raw burnt sienna work really well. Indigo and raw sienna would work really well as well. Yeah, indigo, yellow ochre, They work really nicely. So I'm just going to get my brush, I'm just going to splash some water in. And then oops, Daisy, just dropping my brush. I've got drops here at the moment. A little bit of darker, probably at the edges of some water, just tapping it in, letting it do its thing. And a bit darker on this front edge. And pick up a bit more. Remember, it's going to dry lighter. It's going to dry lighter. And then for this one, I'm going to use my salt. So this salt's got a little bit of rice in it. I'm just concentrating it on this sort of foreground, a little bit up there. The rice just helps keep my salt dry, because quite often when I pick it up, I put a little bit of moisture in there. And I live in a very sort of wet area of the world. So I'm going to see what happens there. We've got some lovely bits coming here. In a minute or two, I'm going to get my spritzer bottle and I'm going to spritz from a distance into there, my little spritzer bottle. Just drop a little bit of water in into that sky. I'm just going to use my a thirsty brush to soak up these puddles that are coming there. You could just leave them and they'd just run back into the painting, but I don't want that. And the same here. That's really nice. So I'm going to let that dry. So here we are, we're dry. I got a bit eager brushing my salt away, and there's a little bit of, it was still damp a little bit underneath, which is where that is. But this is, I think, a lovely canvas to then work off. I love the granulation here and that light coming through. Feels like there's a bit of a stormy cloud coming. And then this light streak through the hill has worked really well. But those of you that have tried this before will know that you can't replicate this. It's just you and the watercolour playing together, and that's the bit that I love about this way of working. It's sort of, to me, it's a bit of an adventure, a bit of a let's see how things work out. It's always that sort of nice feel. So I'm going to stick with just these two colours, and then I'm going to pop on some wreaths, just using a really fine brush. So this is just a watery mix of burnt umber, raw umber and indigo, just to start putting the first lot of wreaths on. Watery in watercolour terms means lighter, and if you're working with a lot of water, just tap onto a paper towel. It just controls the what's on your brush, but keeps it light. And I like just working light to dark first. Put some thicker ones into the foreground. It just means a thicker mixture, a little bit darker. Trying to change the direction of what I'm doing as well. So again, just let's put a few more here, slightly darker. I love this sort of mossy marshland. Where I grew up, there was quite a bit of this along the edges of rivers and mosses, really. And it was always a nice space to sit and watch birds and be at one with nature. So I'm just trying to build up a few tones along the way. Nothing too huge, because I don't want it to detract from the beauty. I love this sort of watercolour. And they will dry lighter. Just going to dab that, it's a bit harsh. I'm just going to go in with some thicker indigo here. Building up the tone, these little clumps of reeds around. So we're dry again. I'm just going to paint, sketch, sorry, some ducks, I think, or a duck, we'll see. Just in a little bit of silhouette. There's one. There's normally a pair of them in there. Let's use that little bit of that will work nicely. Let's set it there. Might want a bit longer, we'll see. There we go, paradox. So I'm going to go in with just indigo and a little bit of that burnt, that raw umber to make it a bit of more of a grey, and a little brush. controlling it on my paper towel and remembering to breathe. So that's like the head and the body. A wing underneath. A bit more indigo into that. I might need a touch of Payne's Grey, we'll see. Okay, not so bad. Let's do this other one. That's not so bad. Might just want a bit of a longer tail on this one. I might just drop a little bit of Payne's Grey in this very end. Maybe some little bits of seed heads on one or two of these. And that's about finished. So last thing I do quite like to do is to get some gouache. I'm just going to highlight straight from the tube. Just going to put some white bits in here. A few little foreground highlights. And then just to get this one back into sort of reading right. I always find when I'm on low energy that I haven't got patience with things in the same way, and so working loose and fast is really helpful. So there we go, 20 minutes of lovely artwork. Last bit is to tear your masking tape away from your painting. That just ensures that if your masking tape tears your work, it's going to tear away from your painting and not towards it. So here we are. Here it is. I've signed it. I've dropped a little mount around it. It's an 8x6 mount from the range, and I always like it when we see it with a mount around it. So happy painting. I look forward to seeing yours as we do this sort of let's see where our energies are. See you soon. Bye bye.